Hi, just wanted to give an update. It's been quite a while, probably like a month since I've actually made a video. Haven't vlogged at all, but what are you gonna do? I have the worst lighting in this room. I look like a ghost anyway, and this room makes it worse. So I think maybe no more filming in this room, whatever. So still going through a divorce, still in that limbo period. I am still legally married just because of insurance stuff. Things are still positive on my end, but they, I guess, in terms of divorce, have gotten a little bit more ugly, just because I laid the smack down a little bit, I guess. So I don't even remember what all I talked about last time, but so I'm staying legally married for insurance purposes because my ex-husband has pretty decent insurance. He has insurance, for one thing. I don't have insurance. My job doesn't offer it. And I have lots of health stuff going on at the moment that I'm trying to explore. So it's really important for me to have insurance. So that was the choice that we made and the agreement that we made. So I have all but cut them, him off. I've cut my stepdaughter off completely. But with my husband, like, we still were kind of talking occasionally. And right before Thanksgiving, I was trying to navigate this let's be friends because we're still really great friends, but we're not married thing, which is just bullshit. I don't know what I was thinking in trying to think that way. Honestly, I do know what I was thinking. I think that I was just trying to make it easier on myself. And make the process less final and less difficult to handle by saying, well, we'll still be friends. So it's not a goodbye forever. It is a goodbye forever. Let's just be real. So keeping in touch for insurance stuff. We still have some bills that we're paying together, or he's paying some, I'm paying some. So those are all things to work out. I have redecorated my house. I was on vacation the week of Thanksgiving. I redecorated everything, made it my own. And he had previously said, FaceTime me and I'll look at how you decorate things. So I asked him if he wanted me to do that. And he said, no, I'm having a really hard time. And I didn't talk to him for days. So I went through like Thanksgiving all the way until like the following Monday. And I had not talked to him at all. And I felt amazing, for a lot of different reasons. There are so many things that I could talk about as to why I felt so great, but it was also great not to talk to him and not have him bringing me down like he does. So that was really nice to not talk to him, but then that really pissed him off. So he started to get on Instagram and post passive aggressive things for me to see. I deleted him, so it doesn't matter. He started texting and things. So sort of what happened is I was talking to a friend, it's a guy friend that I knew long before I was married, or even talking to my husband. And it was very nice just because I think that there is that sort of crush and the butterflies and things that happen. But it was also just having somebody that knew me for who I was before I was beaten down and abused and, emotionally abused and mentally abused. And he knew me before I had really lost my personality. And I fully don't believe that anything will come out of talking to this guy. We've already kind of just got tapered off and we don't really talk too much anymore. But it was a really good experience because I really enjoyed it, had fun, and it was, I'm a big believer in things happening for a reason. And this guy came into my life right as I was cutting my husband off. And it was sort of like he just kind of escorted me through that process, just by keeping me occupied and, having really fun conversations. And they were all very innocent conversations. It was just fun and like I was my old self. And so I can talk more about that relationship later because it serves a lot of purposes for me. But I mentioned it to say that my ex started to text me. He texted me just a really smart ass, like I thought we were friends message. And I had talked to my friend, this guy, and he said, don't respond to him. He's just trying to say, hey, I'm still in your mind. I'm still controlling you. Don't talk to him. So I trusted that and I actually didn't. And normally I feel so bad about treating people negatively or being rude to people, even if they completely deserve it. And I usually would have responded and got into this back and forth argument and allowed him to make me upset. And I didn't. And this friend just continued to talk to me that night. And the next morning, shit hit the fan. So I got text message after text message. And I was able to kind of step back from not responding. And I was able to kind of see exactly what happened in my life. And I realize more now how damaged I was and how really emotionally controlled and abused I was in that situation, because as I'm trying to get ready for work, I'm watching these text messages roll in, and the first one will be angry, and the next one will be like super sad. The next one will be super friendly, and there you can literally see him going through all of these different ways to try and get my attention. Then he started calling, and I accidentally answered it as I was at work. And he answered it saying, "Hey, what's up? I haven't heard from you for a while." Like none of this stuff had happened. Like he had not been blowing up my phone for 2 days. And I was very short and to the point, and I just basically told him that I've enjoyed myself much more not talking to you, and I'd like to not talk to you anymore. And he started to kind of get abrasive, and I said, "Look, you could either respect what I want and need for you to do or not." So he ended up almost starting to cry, and I just hung up the phone. So that was really the last contact I've had. He did continue to try and like Facebook message me, and then he would text me something randomly about we should be friends. And I told him that I really don't think I can be friends with you, because when I am friends with you, it makes me feel bad and it makes you think that there's hope, and there's not. I'm not changing my mind. I don't want to be with you. It's over. So that pissed him off, and he started ignoring all my text messages, and he took everything to just email, which is fantastic, because that was a recommendation that I got from a few people, just to bring everything to email, so it's all very much a business thing. So whatever, that part's done. I haven't really been talking to him other than bill stuff, and that's just through email. Going back to kind of talking to this friend of mine who, it's just a friend, and we really don't talk that much anymore after a few weeks. It's been about 2.5 weeks that we were talking, and it's just sort of tapered off in the end. It was fun in the beginning, but I really, like I said, I'm a big believer in things happening for a reason, and I really think that, he reached out to me when I had posted an Instagram post that kind of alerted people that I actually was going through something. He reached out to me, and I really think that a lot of the reason for that was just, he was meant to be somebody that ushered me through a really difficult thing that I couldn't have done on my own. I'm very strong and able to do a lot of things, but putting my foot down when it comes to myself is not something that I'm strong enough yet. So I really think that, people are just late in your life for a reason, and I think that's what it was. And I've told him how grateful I am for that, and, I've talked about how he's helped me through that, but that just is what it is. So, other than, helping me stand on my own 2 feet in a really pivotal situation, it was really nice too, because it really reminded me of who I used to be. I used to be very, I still will joke, and I'll still be very funny, and, I don't know, it was just this different situation where, for one, I had a male respecting me and respecting my boundaries and treating me well, and having back and forth conversations that were very intelligent and very humorous and fun to have, and those were all things that I couldn't have with my husband. But it also reminded me of who I used to be, because I used to talk with this guy a lot and my brother a lot. We used to be very, we would joke around and be very playful, and I would go to basketball games all the time, and I would really I enjoyed a certain type of movie and would be able to discuss it with these kind of people, and I realized how much that I lost that. And I don't feel, and I've talked to my family, and they don't feel that I really lost who I was in my marriage, but none of us really realized how controlled I was. And there were things that I gave up. I gave up watching basketball at all, let alone going to games, because I was annoyed by the person I was dealing with, because it was taking the joy out of things that brought me joy. Same thing with intellectual conversations and movie talk about these nerdy superhero movies that I love to talk about. I shied away from all that kind of stuff because I was exhausted and it made me feel bad, and I didn't want those situations to be associated with negativity or shame or irritation or frustration. So I just backed off from all of it. So one of the biggest gifts that this friend gave me was that he allowed me to remember who I used to be. And I had had a meeting with my brother and his fiance to try and work some things out with him. And, we were working on things, but then just talking to this friend, it really was it kind of kickstarted me back into who I was. So I was very hesitant to have those kind of conversations and that sort of a friendship or relationship or whatever right out of the gate. But I made sure that I was very removed from it a little bit, if that makes sense. Like I was very much into it and having fun with it, but I didn't want to have any situation where I was expecting it to be any kind of romance. And there was one day when he was sick, I was not feeling great, and I didn't hear from him at all. And I started to have like this very emotional reaction where I freaked out, I felt sad, I felt depressed, I was down on myself. And that was a good wake-up call for me, I was putting too much emotion into that. So I was able to back off and just keep it as fun. And that was a good turning point for me too. I feel like everything that I'm going through right now and all these things that are being laid in my lap are really just to kind of help me to understand myself better. And, I really thought that I had topped out when it came to learning about myself and growing and doing better. But I've really loved the last couple of weeks because it's allowed me to continue to learn those things on a deeper level. So, in the last couple weeks, it's been frustrating not talking because guys are guys and girls will talk all day, but a guy, if they're not thinking about something, they're not talking to you. And what started to happen with this kind of talking to this friend is that I feel frustrated, and kind of ignored and things like that in those situations. That just tells me I need to back off. So that's what I've done. I haven't even talked to him at all in the last 2 days, and I'm fine with that. But again, it's just been this situation where I'm really able to step back and look at things, and I'm able to see some faults in myself, and I'm able to kind of look at conversations that happen and see what a trigger is for me, so that when it comes time for me to actually be romantically interested in somebody, those things are not going to be in the way. I'm so grateful for the situation and for this friend just coming in for a couple of weeks to really kind of bring things through, because I've heard from other friends and, coworkers that I'm much different, and I'm back to being, who I was in the very, very beginning of knowing me. So that's really positive. That's fantastic. I am just happy with that. I'm happy being on my own. I'm happy learning about myself. I had toyed with the idea about whether or not I was going to move out of this house when my lease is up in March, because I've made this house my own. And I'm really, every day, like the more I'm socializing with people, and I'm really combating my social anxiety without even trying. Like I'm just throwing myself out there and being with people and really wanting to be out of the house and just going and driving to downtown Indianapolis when I feel like it, just because I can, and just because I want to enjoy myself, and I want to find different ways to fill those voids in my life so that I don't get into a situation where I'm not happy, where I'm not confident, where I'm not fulfilled, and I just cling to somebody that I shouldn't cling to. And these are all lessons that I'm continuing to learn through different friends, and I am realizing that I want to move. I'm really excited to move in March because I've never been by myself. I've lived with my parents, then I lived with my husband, and I've never picked a place that works just for me. I've never been in a place where it's all my own. I've realized how the memories that are in this house are not necessarily positive. Had it been in the last house that we lived in as a family, and I was stuck there by myself, it would have been pretty ugly and pretty difficult for me. But things were difficult before we moved into this house, and they continue to be difficult. And I've really sort of erased the memory of, a husband and a daughter from this house, and it's very much my own. But I'm realizing that it's too big for me, and it's not where I am right now. Right now, I don't want to be home by myself all the time or home watching TV all the time. I want to be out doing things, and I want to be experiencing things, and I want to have just enough room for me. So that's a realization that I've come to. And probably the biggest news is that late last week, as I was going through lots of health things and trying to navigate my ex-husband stuff, the president of the company came across and said that she was offering insurance. So as of Friday, I've signed up for my own insurance, which means that I can file for divorce myself. And the reaction in my office when that came through is I was in the middle of a serious conversation. I turned to my computer and I said, "Oh my gosh, we have insurance. I'm free." And I literally started bawling my eyes out, like on the floor, crying, people having to pick me up off the floor, hugs from everybody that worked there, because every single one of them knew that what it meant for me, that I was free, that I get to be my own person, that I don't have to be still stuck under the thumb of this person that is still controlling me from far away, which in reality he is, because emotionally that's what he's doing. He's a manipulator, he's a controller, and he's still controlling me, from across the city. So things are fantastic. I will say that I'm starting to kind of go through, I've read that you go through these phases of grieving when you're going through a divorce, and a lot of times you go through them multiple times. And I am starting to go through them again. But I think that a lot of that is, having this Friday, me starting my insurance, the process for getting insurance. I think that was a big catalyst for me, where I had gone through this sort of mini grieving process, trying to get through things, and now it's going to be real, and I can really be free and never have to see them again, and I'm starting the grieving process all over again. So I have been in this kind of a situation where I've been more sad. There have been times of anger, but there have also been times where I'm just kind of sad, and I'm missing, the good memories, because in any relationship there are good times, and I miss those good times. But at the end of the day, I am ready to be done. I am craving to be done and craving to be my own person and figure out who I am. And I'm ready to get to a place where I can be who I am and be okay with it no matter who I'm talking to. And I think that is what I need to be at. That's where I need to be for my career and, for any future relationships, is I need to be super confident in who I am and unapologetic in that. And that's my goal now. Like, I have therapy coming up in a couple of days, and I'm gonna set that goal for myself and really move forward with it. I really want to, for once in my life, understand who I am, know who I am, and love who I am. And if there are things I don't love, change them. Just get them out of my way, because I don't need to be feeling negative about myself. There are enough people that don't like me. I don't need to be one of those people. So I'm excited. I am very motivated to really embrace the changes that are coming. I am grateful for everything that's happened, and I'm so glad to be able to kind of look at myself and see the differences in my reaction time, and to see, how much I've changed.